Hello to you and David, the Chair and Vice Chair of the IOSH Financial Services Group, and thank you for joining us to provide a valuable insight into the financial services industry. This quickfire interview is for those who are just starting out in their safety and health careers or who are looking to make a career change. Myself, Sheena, and my colleague here, Abdullanan, are both members of the IOSH Future Leaders Community Steering Group, and we will now ask you a few questions to provide that insight. First question. I'm going to direct this one to you. What do organizations in the financial services sector look out for in order to be hired?
Excuse me, thanks for the invite. So in terms of what we look for when we're recruiting, it's very much role. I've literally just recruited somebody into my team. Their background is Royal Navy, offshore, and then working in a small engineering company where they began their health and safety journey. For me, it's breadth of knowledge. It's passion for the industry. People think of financial services very much as banking halls and insurance, and we're far more than that. So as an organization in which I work, we look after engineers who undertake statutory inspections of lifts, boilers, tower cranes, those types of environments. So it's not just pen and paper or keyboard and screen as it is these days. It's very much a very broad breadth of issues. So that's what I look for. Somebody with some passion for the industry, somebody for passion for health and safety, coupled with some experience and coupled with qualifications, whether that be an MVQ route, whether that be the formal academic route, but it's very much about the right person for what I'm recruiting for. So the individual I've just recruited will look at my non-office risks, which is why their background of Royal Navy, engineering and offshore are really, really helpful. And I think people would think that that sort of background isn't something we'd look for within financial services, but it's very much an important aspect. David, anything you want to add from your side of it?
To emphasise one of your first points around passion for working in the sector. When we look at the technical skills that people have, these are quite easy to measure. What we're looking for is somebody who's keen to work with us, work for us, who's excited by the opportunity, and who sees how broad and varied this sector is, and how gives them a really good stepping stone in their safety career. Thanks, Hugh.
Okay.
So David, question. In the financial services, like what safety areas should an occupational safety and health professional aim to gain experience in?
Thank you. Again, I'll develop what Hugh spoke about previously. So it's a really varied and broad sector that we work in. So in terms of skills that individuals should look to develop, well-being and psychosocial risk are really high on the agenda across the sector at the moment, as they are across all sectors really. Ergonomics and office safety are two key components of what we do. But going beyond that traditional view of what people do in the financial services sector, property safety is a really big component of what we look at. So be that our office real estate, our retail real estate, but the properties that we operate out of. You think of a high street bank, hundreds of properties up and down the length of the country. Construction and facilities management, they both play a part in both Hugh and my role, and managing the safety that comes from the construction that goes on in our real estate portfolio, and then the management of it. Retail safety, another area that we look at. So if you look at the customer facing side of the role, members of the public are interfacing with our employees on a daily basis. We've got to look after the safety of those individuals too. And then, as you mentioned, we've got more specialist roles. So loss adjusters, looking at tower cranes, looking at insurance and maritime fleets, you know, the list is endless. So a quite a long answer, but the nub of it is a broad and varied range of experience. So think wide when you think of financial services. Is there anything you'd add, Hugh?
I think the other thing to add into there is well-being. So if you look at the issues that have come out of the pandemic, mental health concerns, managing people who have been displaced from an environment they were comfortable in, as in the office, to having to work from home and the fallout from that. So it's not just safety, it's well-being and those types of things as well. So all of it's important.
All right, next question is directed at Hugh. What are the key skills beyond qualifications that students should focus on to be effective OSH professionals in your industry? Maybe soft skills, communication, I'm not sure. Over to you.
I think that links into something that our current president spoke to us as a group about not long ago, about those skills that are equally as important as the academic qualification around safety. It's the ability to engage with people, having empathy, being able to listen. If you think about things like accident investigation, listening skills are so key. Being able to provide a clear and concise report following an event, or to present to senior executives. A lot of it is personality. In this role, you're facing a lot of challenges. You face financial challenges. You face challenges where people may not take you seriously. So it's about being able to engage, make them enthusiastic about a subject a lot of people sort of switch off at, as well as being able to use all the software packages that you can think of, utilize data to extrapolate into trends and issues that may be being faced by your particular organization, and use those to help you shape your objectives for the following years. That comes with experience as much as it comes with a qualification. So you may have somebody who has done a statistical degree, for an example, who can come along and look at data and give you a whole set of interpretations, which is great, but they need a lot more that goes with that. They need that ability to communicate. They need the ability to engage with people at all levels in the organization, as well as having the technical skills and the knowledge around all the legislation that underpins what we do. David, anything I've missed? Because I was bound to have missed something in that one.
If you missed it, you mentioned empathy early on in your answer, and I think that's a real key trait or personality trait to develop. You know, having that ability to place yourself in the context of those individuals that you're trying to support, understand their needs and what they want, whether that's the chief exec of the organisation or whether that's somebody on the front line. So really working on the development of your emotional intelligence skills, developing the networks that you've got around your trust and care. You know, those are two key components of what we do as health and safety professionals. I think as well, in this sector, we've talked about the breadth of the different areas of safety that you may need to look at when you're supporting within the financial sector. There's also a very broad cultural element to it as well. You know, both the organisations that Hugh and I work for have got global footprints. So you know, being able to work across time zones, work across cultures, recognise those cultural differences in the communities that you're supporting. You know, from the Far East to the UK, for instance, and all that. You know, all that again boils down to being able to have empathy for those you're supporting, emotional intelligence about what you do, and recognising the needs of the individuals that we're trying to support, and putting yourself in their shoes. Thanks, Hugh.
The next question for David. What's the best way about joining an organization in the financial sector?
I think it's probably going to build on what we've been speaking about already. There's so many different routes into the sector. You know, in Hugh's answer at the start, he explained how he was getting specialists into the team to look at the high risk activities in his company. So I think in context of a route in, look at that breadth of skills that you can develop, and your route into the sector can be via construction, it can be via facilities management, it can be via consultancy, but it's recognizing where those skills are transferable and being able to tell that story at interview. Other things that are important as well, obviously the technical experience, whether that's through your CMIOSH academically or through an NVQ route, but building up that technical core of expertise. Focusing on the softer skills, you need to develop the broader leadership skills. And I think shedding any preconceptions that you've got about the sector as well. It's not all about offices, and it's not all about high street banks. Open yourself up to a sector that's got a whole range of different activities, different risks, and it's really quite exciting to work in. Hugh.
I think the other thing for me is networking. We're part of a group. We do events. Come along to those events, get to know what happens within the financial services sector, get to know people from the financial services sector. The bigger you grow your network, the greater the opportunities, the greater awareness of what is out there. But also use that network to enhance your skills and knowledge. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone to somebody you've met at a networking event and ask for some advice, ask for some input, ask for some clarification. All of the safety professionals I know will share that information with people. I think we're quite unique in businesses in that, yes, we add to the organizations and we add value to the organizations, but we're not the competitive edge. We're not the price fixers. And we're all geared up for the same thing, which is to make sure people are safe and comfortable. So utilize that networking, get to know what we do. And when the opportunities are there, people will remember you and engage.
Very, very interesting insight into the sector so far. I'm loving it. All right, next question is for you. What do you do as an IOSH Financial Services Group committee member? Do you have many opportunities with this role?
I think there's probably lots of people who will ask this question, what do we do? The interesting thing about the Financial Services Group is we're quite new. We're one of the younger groups within IOSH. And we're very much endeavouring to punch above our weight, for want of a better expression. We're there to offer something to our members and others to help them enhance their technical knowledge, their experiences. So as a committee, we're there to develop a programme. And in fact, David and I this week have spoken around a face-to-face event we're starting to plan. We're pulling together the speakers, the timetables, all the logistics around that, with a real drive to add something to our colleagues. What opportunities do you get? So we've met people that we probably wouldn't have met because we've planned these events. We've pulled in speakers. We've called on experts to come and support us. We've got to know the presidential group, and we're hoping that will grow. So you get to know more about the structure of IOSH, how IOSH functions, the purposes of IOSH, where it adds benefit, and you can then help support that and drive some of that as well. So I think it's a really good place to get involved, to get to know IOSH, the industry, people, and as I said before, develop your own network so you can pick up the phone, ask questions, and get support when you need it. And I think the key example of that is David and I. We never knew each other. We'd never have spoken to each other. and we got involved in a group, and we'll now bounce ideas off each other. So David, on that basis, anything to add?
Yeah, just one thing around the opportunities, I think. So in terms of us as a committee, we have one of the committee members who sits on the board of IOSH. We have another who sits on a board committee, and we have a third who's one of the VPs of IOSH. So those opportunities, sitting on this committee has given these members of the committee the opportunity to broaden what they do with IOSH, and all that looks good. Not only is it giving back to our profession, it also supports what we do professionally. I'm the member who sits on a board committee. It's the Finance and Investments Committee for IOSH. That gives me a level of credibility, oversight of budgets, oversight of investment strategies, and I wouldn't have had that without. I doubt I would have got that opportunity without sitting on this group and demonstrating that I was willing to give to IOSH. Going back to I'm linking that back to the previous question as well. There's opportunities for members of the future leaders community to volunteer on committees as well. So if there's anyone who's listening to this who is interested in the financial services sector, either joining it or already working within it, speak to Hugh or I via IOSH and volunteer and come along to the committee. That could be one of your stepping stones either into the sector or further into IOSH and giving back. I'm hesitant, I'm afraid. I joined the sector, and I was relatively naive about the breadth of what we do. The organisation I work for doesn't just work in financial services; it's got other parts of the organisation, and I didn't have an appreciation of quite how varied the risk was within financial services. So I think if I was making that career change or making a transition into this sector, I'd now be an awful lot more aware of just how challenging the role is, how broad a set of skills you need to be able to work in this sector effectively, and how interesting that makes it as a career choice. You got anything to add to that?
No, I'm just going to support it, really. I got into safety management by mistake. I was asked to take part in a project that was many, many years ago when I had hair, and I'm still technically on that project because I never got moved back out. But I wouldn't swap it for anything. And I really learned a lot about the organisation. I learned that it had far more facets to it than I ever imagined. I learned that the risks were not as obvious as you may have thought they were. So if you want to move into this sector, do your homework. Have a look at what organisations do. Look at how large some of the organisations are. You talk about some of the high street names, HSBC, Aviva, AXA, people like that. They're global organisations, so the opportunities are not just confined to a single country. You can move around dominantly across their portfolios. So be open, look at it, realise it's not a boring fuddy-duddy organisation that you're moving into, and there's a lot of challenges which will enhance your skills and your knowledge of the subject.
Oh, thank you, you and David. I mean, I've learned a tremendous amount about the financial services sector that I never would have thought. I mean, it really is interesting. So thank you very much. I think you've been giving us some very useful information for our student members and our future leaders. So thank you very much. And we're sure it will help inspire many new occupational health and safety professionals. Do you have any final words, you and David?
My only thing is to remind you what David said. If you want to come and join us on the committee, you're more than welcome. New ideas, new thoughts, they come from younger people, not people of our age. So please help.
Thank you both for the opportunity to speak to you this afternoon. It's been really interesting from our part as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And we do encourage any further questions to be sent to networks@iosh.com. And if there are any IOSH future leaders that would like to join the Financial Services Group Committee, please join them as indicated by Hugh and David. Thank you very much.